Hi everyone, Beulah Scott, occupational therapist.
And I'm Mike, the physical therapist.
And Mike, today we're going to talk about arthritis and some exercises that you can do to keep those joints in motion all the time. And we're going to cover the hand and wrist, and we're going to cover the shoulder as well as the hip. And one of our viewers requested actually for us to cover some exercises for arthritis. And we did a little bit of research to see, how many people are affected by arthritis in the United States. We actually didn't do the rest of the world, but
it's a lot. It's like 54 million per year are told by their doctor that they suffer from some type of arthritic pain.
Yeah, and that's for different forms of arthritis. Yes.
Yeah. And then it's very debilitating. It can affect the way you walk if you have knee or hip pain from the arthritis. Can affect the way that you do your ADLs with reaching overhead, reaching behind your head, behind your back. It can definitely cause you to be less functional.
Yeah, and as it progresses, sometimes people with pain would tend to then stop moving, and what will happen with that is when you stop moving, then your joints start freezing, and
you
then
lose that range of motion really quickly when you quit moving, and then that causes more pain with the lack of range of motion. So then it becomes a vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. More pain, less movement, less mobility, more pain, and you gotta keep moving a joint that's got arthritis in it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do you want to talk about what really happens with the joint with arthritis?
Okay, in the joint, it's really, picture the joint like it's a smooth surface, like the pavement on a road that was just paved. Arthritis is when you get potholes in that road, and it's the same with the cartilage on the bone that's supposed to be smooth, but it gets crevices in there. That causes the joint to not move like it should, and it causes inflammation of the joint and all the tissue around the joint, and that's where the pain comes from. Mm-hmm. Is the inflammation that it causes.
And as it gets worse, it feels like, it's described by a lot of our clients that it feels like they're bone on bone, and they can actually hear that sound, of the bone. I've actually heard it where, you actually cringing sometimes in the severe cases there. And sometimes, obviously, it gets to a point where, it's so painful, and also, it's where they may be, looking at surgical intervention at that point.
Knee replacement, hip replacement, shoulder replacement,
So we're going to start off with the hand, and we've got some basic exercises there. And basically what you do with the hand is just open and close. And you do that for a few times. You can do that 10 times and then slowly increase that, but don't do it excessively.
Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure you do the full range of motion that you can. If you have more advanced arthritis and you could only go to here, that's fine. Go to that, but go that distance each time.
Just to that range, to where you can. I mean, you can gently stretch it out, but you've got to be very gentle with that as well. So, if you need to stretch it a little where your range of motion is limited. And then we move to the wrist, and the wrist is just up and down, up and down. And that is to, obviously, if you can't go all the way up and down, you could do it with your hands closed. But if you have your hands open, your flexion, you get more of that. And then just your radial deviation to the sides like that, or you can do it with the hand open. So that's the motion, and you do it to obviously your range once again there. And then
with the wrist, you can give it a little stretch, like she said, whether it's up and down or side to side, you can give it a little stretch. Even if it's uncomfortable,
just
it's okay.
Gentle
with that
stretch,
joint.
A gentle stretch if you can't get all the way there. And then that covers the wrist, or you can even do just circles like that if you want the hands open. And then the elbow would just be up and down. And once again there too, if you need to do gentle stretch, we'll do a gentle stretch like that. And we're doing them, you know, start off with, if it needs to start off with 5 and then slowly increase to 10 and then work your way up to 20, but you don't want to do that excessively. Once again, not too much repetitive movements.
So now we'll talk about the shoulder. One of the things that I like the best is overhead pulleys. And I'll show you on ours, and then I'll show you how you can make a set at home. But these are great for the range of motion in your shoulder. It's gentle, not heavy impact or anything on it. But you would hang yours over a doorway, which I'll show you with the homemade kit. But all you do is you go up and down to the point that your shoulders will go. With the shoulders, it's a little different than the wrist and the elbow and the hand. When you go up, if you start to get pain here, you don't want to keep pulling and pulling and trying to go further. You have a lot of muscles and tendons in there called your rotator cuff, that if you are pushing them into that position where it's painful, you can cause more inflammation, increased pain afterwards. So keep that within what we call the pain-free range. When it starts to get painful, don't go any further.
You can also start with, like I will start with my clients where they can warm up down here, and then work your way slowly up.
And even without giving it that pressure at the point of pain, you'll notice that the joints will just open up and open up more and more the more you do it.
And we could do the abduction to the sides.
Yes, and you can do it straight out to the side, but a lot of people have a hard time. So you start out in the front, and then you can work your way moving your arms out, and they probably won't go as high as you go out. But you can go out as far as you feel comfortable, and that way you're getting more movement in the shoulder. So.
And you can make your own. Michael just made this actually right before we did the video, and it can be made at home. It has a great flexibility, or what do you call it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like you can move it really well, either forward or sideways.
Or sideways, yeah. Okay, yeah. You got all the movements that we just showed you here. The main part of it is you buy a little pulley.
I think
all of these things you can get at the hardware store.
We probably could do another video where we just on that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's probably gonna take a little bit of time to explain that there.
But all it takes is some PVC pipe to make handles, some rope, and a pulley right
Quick
there.
and easy, right
Flip
there.
it over the door and close the door, and you can sit in a chair and do the pulleys right there.
Did we go over using a swimming pool to do exercises in the water? Did we go over that?
No, we did not.
Actually, that's a good way to really exercise if you have arthritis. If you have accessibility to a pool, and a warm pool is even better, because then you can do those exercises with gravity eliminated.
Yep, you don't have the resistance. You don't have the gravity pulling down on you, and it's especially better if you have more advanced arthritis.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of the load off the joint. You'll get more motion, and it's much less painful.
So you're going to show us the hip exercises, or no? We have the other shoulder ones that we need to do.
Oh, there is the one more shoulder. You want to grab the ball?
Yep.
Ball you can get anywhere at your local Walmart, dollar store. They have these, but you sit at a table, and basically you just roll forward and backwards, and let your shoulders stretch out there. And once again, you do it about 20 times each session. Okay, and then another one would be going side to side, rolling it in an arc in front of you, and that works on the internal and external rotation of your shoulder as you're moving. So Very simple, very easy to get the equipment to do it.
Yeah, and if you want to do it in standing, you could use a bigger ball and do the same thing in standing, you know, forward and back and then side to side.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and show you the hip exercises.
Okay. The first one I'm going to show you.
Oops, be careful.
Yep, I almost fell.
Oh my gosh.
The first one it's for your low back and your hips. It's called lower trunk rotation. You have your knees bent, feet together, knees together, and you just rotate to the side as much as you can. You'll feel it stretch in your low back. You'll feel it in the side of your hip here. And you hold it about 2 to 3 seconds there, and then go the opposite way. Hold it 2 to 3 seconds.
So how many times would you have him doing that, Michael?
Once again, it would be 10 times, you know, to start off with. And then work your way up to a set of 20. You can hold it a little bit longer on each side if you want to each time. That's fine too.
And that gives it a little more of a stretch right there, right?
And it does stretch your spine and your hips. It also works, it's a light way to work on your core stabilization at the same time. So that's one. The next one will be, call it the single kneaded chest stretch. Basically, you can just grab underneath your leg here and you want to pull back as far as you can. And you're going to feel this stretch in the backside of your hip and your glutes. And with this, you're going to hold it for a 30-second count.
Now, if somebody has difficulty like with holding because either their hands have the arthritis or there's soreness or weakness there, you can use something like a towel.
Or
and you go ahead and
belt
put
or
a belt, yeah.
And you can, that way you don't have to reach as far and you can pull back that way.
And then you hold that for how long?
You hold it for 30 seconds and you should do it 3 times on each leg. Okay. The next one.
Can you hold it for shorter if you're having difficulty with that, where you actually just bring the leg up and then down and then the other one up and down?
Yes, that's fine. Try to hold it though as long as you can, at least 10 seconds. To get a nice stretch of the muscle, you really want it to hold it a minimum of 15 seconds. But if you can't do it at the beginning, that's fine to work up to
up and down, okay.
So, okay. The next one is the hamstring stretch. There's a couple ways to do that. The first way is just to hold under your thigh again, but instead of pulling back, you're going to let your knee basically point towards the ceiling there, and then you just lift your foot up as far as you can until you feel it stretch behind.
Ooh, Michael, you're tight there.
Yeah, I got some pretty tight hamstrings. You need to work a little bit more on those hamstrings. Yeah, so once again, you'll hold it up for 30 seconds or less if you can't do the 30 seconds.
And then you can use a towel or the belt.
Yes, you can do, how we have them do it in the clinic sometimes is they put a belt on their leg and just pull it up straight and keep the knee straight. And it's a little stronger pull on your hamstrings, but it's easier on your shoulders because you're not having to reach down and pull. So that's a great way to do it. Once again, 30 seconds, holding on that. And
you do that on either side, obviously.
Yep, both sides. Absolutely.
Okay, you all right?
I think I'm gonna be okay.
Okay, so that covers about all for those joints, and I think we've touched on each one and spoke about the swimming pool as well. And if you enjoy our videos and find them beneficial and useful, share them with your friends and family on Facebook, and go to our YouTube channel and you can subscribe down the bottom and hit the notification button there. And we definitely look forward to any comments that can give us any ideas of topics that you'd like us to talk about, like our one viewer, as well as we had another viewer who's asked us to do on back pain, and that's our next video we're going to do is on the back pain. So keep those comments coming on what you'd like us to talk about or demonstrate what exercises or on what topic we should talk about?
I think
Does that covers it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for listening, and we will see y'all and talk to y'all again.